looked at each other and just watched them.
Right.
One would text and pretty soon she'd see the other one like, and I'm like, what? I said, if they're gonna do that during that meeting, I guess it got pretty ugly, but each other and so I think it's close enough.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shirley Lucas, President Page, President Valley, President Painter. Wolfersburg,
Present.
Cummings, President Rep,
Yes.
We will, sit down. We got public comment first. Corey, you're here for, something on the agenda item, so we'll get to you here in just a second. So first line is the consent agenda with our, board meeting minutes for November the 14th and approval of the bills. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes with the corrections and approval of the bills in the amount stated. Not ready to big number.
Second. Any discussion or questions?
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Not.
Max can't vote anymore, right?
That's correct.
That's right.
Okay. Page,
Yes.
Valley,
Yes.
Wolfersburger,
Yes.
Cummings,
Yes.
Rep,
Yes.
5-0.
Right. Now we'll go to new business. We have Corey Butler here. And first item is the cross-country proposal. And Joe and I thought it'd be a good idea if we just have him come and kind of go over that. You have the information in your packet, but we'll have Corey just kind of give us some details on that.
Okay. So you can see the picture up there. For those of you that don't know, I am the middle school cross-country coach. I've actually got a different photo for you here that expands on this just a little bit. So basically, one of the great things that came out of COVID, one of the only great things that came out of COVID, is we created a cross-country course out of the village sports complex. And we've been using it every year ever since, posting at least 2 meets a year out there. So what we want to do is we want to make it a little more permanent. So every year I go out there with my push mower and I mow the inside line, which basically you can see is the blue line on that map that I gave you. And then I put a flag in the ground and I measure from there with a wheel and walk the whole thing and find my mile mark. Then I walk the whole thing again to find the exact finish line. And that's based on where I put the flag as the starting line. So I would like to make it to where I didn't have to walk 4 miles in order to set the course. A couple posts in the ground, or I could even get some mailbox spikes put in there to put 4x4s in that could be removed later. The other thing we want to do is we want to get a hold of some companies and see if they would donate time, equipment, things to maybe overseed the course, line the course, aerate the course, and just make it as lush and plentiful as we possibly can. That way the kids have something great to run on. Not that it's not great now, but the way the IESA has changed now, we have 4 classes in cross country starting this last year. So in other words, if we're going to run a sectional, we're either going to host it or we're going to drive 90 minutes to 2 hours to run that day. So it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's a home field advantage if we just host it here. We've got a facility. It's wonderful. It mimics our state meet course beautifully. Like I said, I just reached out to see what we could do to maybe make it a little nicer. And I know for a fact that when I've got it lined out there during the season, I go out there to work on it and I see football moms out there all the time while their kids are sitting there at practice, walking the thing. It is basically a mile. I mean, it's just over a mile for the whole pack. So I can see the community using that as a plus too. You know, if there were posts there that said, hey, this is where it goes, I can see people using it year round.
I thought it was a great idea. I think with the post, I would, just because we have maybe some future development potentially, making those easy enough to adjust if we had to at some point, if something new goes out there, but even if a little bit of concrete is poured, usually that's pretty easy to pop up too. So either way, I think that would work out, putting those posts. And like I said, then if we did have a new development, we would just work with you and you would just pivot your course a little bit to work around that. But I know you'd mentioned trees. Joe and I had a meeting before the holiday in regards about a grant, potentially having some more trees added out there. And we discussed having the cross country, and we were thinking about, because they were kind of wanting them, what it was going to be, maybe 25 trees. Maybe putting them there by that retention pond that we have on there in that far corner.
Yep.
Which would be, they're far enough apart that even if your course went through the trees, it would be a nice, I think, part of your course. But you had mentioned trees also.
Yep.
So I think it's a great idea, and we just thought it'd be a good idea to have him bring it to you guys. And that way you guys are aware of what they're talking about doing, and that way you can ask questions and send him off with our blessing.
Did the village not have any other plans to, you know, put anything in the area that's to the north end here, like where the triangle is? Like no other fields, or was never any plan for
At
anything? to go
this
there?
point, I mean, we will be moving a baseball diamond out there because we'll be losing the one out to the sewer
So I
plant.
asked, where's that gonna go?
So, but yeah, we'll have to discuss that where we want to put that. So, but that's why I'm saying if we have something less than permanent as far as his markers, wherever we do that, then they can work around that. So.
Because it's not a full-size baseball diamond, it's more for the little ones, correct? The diamond network that.
Yes, and from a drainage standpoint, Clark, so if you're looking at this map. Directly south of that ball diamond is where it was originally slated to go from a drainage standpoint. That's obviously you can change it, but just I think it's where it sounds like it was originally intended to go, from what I understand, obviously it wasn't here. But you know, you can, there's room out there where you can do, you know, what you wanted with it, so.
Aren't those the soccer fields that are directly? The
Yeah.
soccer fields are down there.
So the high school is using, can't remember what it is, Hackler.
Right.
And so, yeah, you would have to decide if you want to reconfigure the soccer field or do something different there if you wanted to put the ball diamond there. We're not, I guess we're not having the ball diamond conversation yet, but, yeah, so yeah, you'd have to decide that at that point.
I mean, my only question is like, where would the ball, what's the other option for the ball diamond to go? There is nowhere else really, is there?
No, you would have to put the ball diamond probably closer to the interstate, what it looks like on this section. Right over here,
Oh, there's space out there for
I
it.
mean, just eyeballing it, but. So,
And that's what I was worried about. That's why I got a hold of you guys, because, you know, our starting line. You know, a sectional is gonna have 15 or 17 to 20 teams, 4-foot boxes. I'm looking at 8-foot wide for the start. You know, so I didn't want to do this and then 3 years down the road go, oh, wait a minute, we're gonna develop that whole area and didn't have to start from scratch again, so.
Well, if you move the soccer fields out into the open area and put the ball diamond. Your cross country course can run across the soccer fields.
It could, we have, through the last 4 years, I've tried to stay away from everybody else's field. You know, I've tried to be cognizant of everybody else's
Well,
stuff that we
there's
have.
no fence around it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yes, I just know, people are very picky about their things in this town, and I don't want to mess with anybody and ruffle any feathers.
So didn't we hear something about that the soccer field were gonna go away and be somewhere like at the high school, or did I make that up in my brain, or?
Well,
They
like,
the high school,
Okay,
but they don't, but they practice at Hackler, but I think, doesn't SJFC still use these
I
fields,
would,
like both
yeah,
of
they're
them?
out there all the time.
They use both, SJFC uses both of
who's
those
that?
fields. That's something like this with, like, with the Bradley,
Oh,
the younger kids.
okay,
Prior-
and do they pay to use that ground?
It's just like any of the other, they rent the facility,
Okay.
like they do the other sports groups, so.
Cause the younger kids use a smaller soccer field that butts up to that ball diamond, and the bigger kids use the other field, the one that the high school used to before they doubled up with the turf.
I mean,
So,
you don't have to put another ball diamond in. The ball diamond's really the sticking point here is what it sounds like, so so that's what's the real obstacle is where the ball diamond is gonna go, so, I mean, that you don't have to put one in there. So, I mean, or you could, like, you were saying, you could reconfigure the soccer field to where instead of going east and west, you could maybe go north and south, like on this diagram potentially, and then still fit another ball diamond.
That's what I was gonna say, in soccer, that if in this, I'm assuming you can run around it at least, or you can even double up on the football field, I mean.
We used to do that.
There's conflicts during the fall, but there's always conflicts with field, it seems like.
to give you an idea, so the cross-country course that we're talking about. Once we get past that starting area and that first turn there, basically where the white triangle ends. We're looking at about a 10-foot bike path, and that's it. So this is quite a lot of area there in between the white and the black. Now granted, it's a little rough, there are a lot of prairie dogs out there in that area, prairie dog mounds. Part of the reason why we want to oversee, where the course is and everything, and make it rough for them to dig up through there. Because Coach McD and I spend all day before our home meet out there on our hands and knees, putting gravel in holes and, making sure prairie dogs don't, holes don't get in there, so the kids don't get in there, twist ankles, things like that. But, so that's what we're looking at. We're looking at like a 10-foot wide path to oversee. But yeah, there's a ton of area.
Right,
still out
in
there.
the middle, you find still, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
but you can't put soccer over there in the middle, cause it's terrible, treacherous.
There would be a lot of
You can't,
work that would have to be
I would
done.
be opposed to moving soccer over here in this area, because this area here is not even great. This area over here would be awful. They'd be rolling ankles all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that, I mean, if you don't have to put a ball diamond out there, then
Yeah,
I think, did the ball diamond actually get used? Are you talking about the one that was out at the sewer plant?
It was,
Did it actually get
it
used?
was utilized, yes, but this upcoming year will be a good. Test to see if I believe we'll be able to fit everybody in. Through more intentional scheduling with the diamonds that you currently have. But if that proves not to be the case, we'll know. Soon, so.
and that's a matter of too, that once you sit down and getting down to the nitty gritty, eventually when you utilize the entire park. All of that's gonna need to be made nicer, through engineering and everything, so that once you are using all of that park. You want every playing field to be nice, whether it's a baseball or soccer or the cross country, so to me. And that's the biggest thing is just to think ahead so that you're not undoing certain things too, that you,
Right.
once you do something, it'd be nice to have a plan so that. You can keep moving forward with your plan and not tearing up and redoing something, and that's kind of what, Corey's trying to figure out too, so. I think it's workable, I think there's plenty of space that we can work with every group, what we add out there. Yeah, luckily yours is only a 10-foot swath going here and there, so it's probably a little more adjustable than a baseball diamond or a soccer field. So, I think however we do it, it'll be a matter of working with you if we come up with a plan before you do that, we just make some of the adjustments.
Sure.
Through that, if that sounds all right, but.
I mean, I'm a big supporter of cross country, I already love my kids ran cross country, so I'm a big supporter of cross country. And I think it would be great to have it out there, but I also don't want to lose the soccer fields where they are. For that reason, because the area to the north of that, unless you're gonna do some serious work on it. Is not usable for a soccer field at all. So if the soccer fields don't have to be relocated, I guess the issue is just gonna be if you have to add another baseball diamond.
Well, and cross country is already out there, right? I mean, we're talking about they're already out there. We're just talking about putting in some signs for now, correct? So it's not affecting soccer currently. It would only be a future thing. And if they're already out there and going to continue being out there.
That's my plan. I'd love to be out there. I mean, one, it's safe for the kids. The last 3 years that we had to meet down by the middle school. We always have our home meet on Friday night before the Spartan Classic on Saturday morning. And 2 of those years it fell on homecoming weekend. So we had high schoolers trying to drive straight through our meet to get to the parade start at the middle school, and it became very, very, as a coach, I was worried, because I couldn't see the start, the turnaround, all of that all in one spot. I was scared someone was going to get injured.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason we went out to the park, and we don't have to worry about a car coming through. Well, I shouldn't say that, but
Don't see it too soon.
yeah.
A question, couple of
Yes, sir.
questions for you. Is there a reason you couldn't put a mail post to mark them? Because I can see this to mark your spot. That way they'd be a lot more easily removed as opposed to pouring cement and find out you gotta relocate.
That's why I was suggesting maybe the mailbox posts, which you put a 4x4 in.
You don't need to do that. I'm talking about a steel farm post, 6'6", and you go ahead and put your marker on that. And that way, if you got, cause just like this, it's gonna get beat down. So that way you can run the other side, move it a little bit, whatever. And then another question is, I know we had a working on a grant, because I worked with BJ a little bit, and then he took it on the middle school. They were supposed to put a multi-use sidewalk that would have connected to the rail trail. Do you guys use the rail trail any?
So I'm glad you said that. And I just saw the article saying that the rail trail finally got the money to finish. I have been screaming for 3 years just to get that rail trail finished out to the bridge.
Yeah.
Now, we do utilize it going this way. And I know the high school also utilizes it, but man, I would love that done to that bridge so we could literally leave the middle school, run right down to 7th Street, right down and get to our course without having to worry about any cars.
The conversation at that time, when I brought it up about going north there instead of like a 4-foot sidewalk, it'd be 8 foot, 8 or 10, I forget what it was now. But it would eventually, like before the rail trail, it would go key right into it to the north.
I would love that.
I don't know whatever became of it. Back somewhere after that said, what'd you ever find out? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. I got kind of, I was there some meetings, so.
We submitted a grant to Oslab and they turned us down and said it was more of a bike path and should go through the bike thing.
Oh, it did?
It was to connect a bike, the park to the rail trail. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's in the middle school up to going north to rail trail. Because at the time, my conversation with all there, I said, look, you got kids running all over town. Why don't you go ahead, if they got a dedicated path, they take it right up eventually to the rail trail, and they'd have options to go either way.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you meant we had done one to connect the rail trail up though, because we don't have a really good path to get them up
Okay.
there.
Well, that was several, that was in BJ, so that's been several years ago. But I mean, there are, I think, I don't blame you, Biff, want to get kids in an area there and work around that. I don't know if this would be something that probably, in my opinion, let's talk to Mike, Luke and them, and then also think about. Like any kind of runners, you want a little different scenery, you know, you want to leave yourself an option to do something else. And if they can help you, like an interim with some middle posts, maybe aerated roll areas in advance of that, something like that.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. But as far as the soccer fields, relocating those, that's about $100,000 to go there.
Yeah, I'm not looking to
Yeah.
relocate anybody. That's the last thing I want to do. I wanna make sure my kids have a safe place to run.
Yeah, sure, I know one, yeah,
For the future.
taking grandkids and watch them run here and there down at Chrisman and up at Paxton,
Yeah.
or, Paxton up there.
Yeah.
So basically, you guys are good with working with Corey then on getting this figured out? Well,
Yeah, I think that it's great. I just don't want to have like a year from now say, oh, we got to put a ball field in, got to move soccer fields. Yeah, so.
Well, that's what I feel about posts, you put cement posts in there, and you got time and effort to go ahead and put that in, where the metal post. You can go ahead, and that's what I would suggest in the interim, that if you had to deviate one place because there's a wet spot there or something, it gives you an option to do something, you know.
Yeah, I think it's all workable, Corey, and we'll just, as we work through it, then as things change, cause I said we'll have those further discussions when the time comes, but you know, with the baseball diamond on if and when that's done and all that too, so, but as for now, yeah, I think we can move forward and start working towards that towards spring, so.
Wonderful.
We just have to work for the rest
Metal
of
posts
the
are
years.
farm fleet.
I absolutely would.
All right, so, all right, well, thank you very much.
Perfect, thank you.
Appreciate it. Of course.
If you would, just. What's his name?
Corey.
Yeah.
If you would just maybe reach out and let me know sometimes that you could meet with Mike and Luke and I out there,
Okay.
and we can just look at exactly.
So actually right now, well, Mike and Luke both have seen them. I've got some buckets out there filled with rock with a 4x4 post in them right now.
Okay.
One at the starting line, one at the finish line, and one at the mile mark.
Okay.
So I mean, I would be more than happy to meet with them.
Okay.
But
That sounds good. Yeah.
they could go out there and look at any point in time right now and say, okay,
And
here's,
it's where you need them at.
that's where the only one that I wouldn't have, if you look at that drawing, this down toward the bottom, there's one post at a corner. It's up near the houses.
Okay.
So what I do there when I'm mowing, there's a telephone box near one of the fences, and then the soccer shed straight ahead. And I just mow until I hit that telephone box and I turn. I'd like to put a post right there at that corner, just so I wouldn't have to be sitting there watching like this the whole time to figure out where I turn. That's the only place that wouldn't be marked as far as a post right now.
Okay. The one that says post spot.
Yes, the one that says post spot.
All right, I'll talk with them and then we'll get back with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. That already gone past public comment. Did you guys need, or are you just here to visit with us or?
We're just curious about the use for the where the paintball place is. Is that tonight?
So, we haven't got to that yet, but, it's been continued. So the Planning and Zoning Commission continued the hearing to this Thursday at 7 p.m.
Oh, okay,
So you should come to that if you want to hear the,
okay,
so the board will have to take it up at some point whenever the Planning and Zoning Commission issues a recommendation, but they haven't done that just yet.
has the use been defined? Is it a storage? Facility or?
The applicant applied for storage units, yes.
I was,
Yeah.
I'm just curious. So there won't be any more action on that this evening?
Correct.
Be Thursday?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. We're just curious.
Sure, sure.
Right.
Thank you.
Be happy if you want to stick around.
Mhm.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, next item is the approval of our service contract with the sheriff's department. You had a copy of that in your packets, and nothing has changed other than the price has gone up a little bit, but as everything else, I think it's still a fair contract. And, I think we're still get a good bang for our buck there, so. If there's no further questions on that, is there a motion to approve that?
So,
Second,
Valley,
yes.
Wolfersberger.
Yes.
Cummings.
Yes.
Rapp,
yes,
Page,
Yes.
5-0.
Okay, the next item is the renewal of our health and dental coverage. Once again, that information's in the packet. If you have any questions for Joe on that. What was the total increase again on that?
A 1.16% increase,
So that is,
$685.56. There's no increase to dental or vision. And your total HRA liability will decrease. And so this is the second year in a row that they have switched us, our plans. We were in an HMO 2 years ago, and then they switched us to this tier plan. And that's just something that Health Alliance has made a decision to do. But overall, it's no impact to our employees, and 1.16. If you look at the historical increases, on page. It says historical pay increases, but if you look from 2016 through 2018, you had some pretty substantial increases. 2020 even, you had some pretty, so 1.16 is pretty much.
that's lower than I know that regional planning, as commissioner there, we look over the county, and I know theirs was much higher than that for their increase, so I'm very happy with that being said. Increase only being that, and even though they've made some adjustments to the home, but it still sounds like we've got basically a very good policy for our employees.
So I have the motion that we need there, and just need the motion and you're ready to go.
I'm sorry, what did you say the increase in cost was to?
It's a 1.16% increase. You want the total
I thought
cost?
you gave me $1. I thought you said something about $685.
It's a 600, yeah, it's a $685.56 increase.
Over last year,
Mm-hmm.
685.
And 56 cents. Over last year, yeah. And there's no change to dental or vision.
Dental and vision or dental and health?
The dental and vision have no increases, no changes at all. Health insurance would increase by.
Okay.
Yep.
I make a motion to approve.
Second,
Wolfersberger,
yes.
Cummings.
Yes.
Rapp,
yes,
Page,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
5-0.
And if the new trustees have any questions about the HRA that we give our employees, that's a really nice additional benefit that we give our employees, that basically their out-of-pocket expenses is no more than $500. So that's really nice compared to most dental department places. So if you have any further questions on that, Joe or I can explain that, how that's set up. So next item is the purchase of the salt spreader. That information's in the packet. Those bids are ready to be approved, aren't they, Joe?
Yeah, I recommend approving the $3,695 salts from the one in Bloomington, which is Quality Truck and Equipment Company. Received 3 bids, they were the lowest bidder.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Those you, Angela?
Yes.
$1,000.
Cummings,
Yes.
Rapp,
yes,
Page,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
Wolfersberger,
Yes.
5-0.
Item number 5 is Exhibit 7 in your packet, the business grant. This was something that they discussed at the planning and zoning. The other night, we offer. Last year was the first year that we offered it to our commercial district. And so I'll let Joe explain a little bit. There's a couple changes that the planning and zoning wanted to make inside the plan. And
Yes.
so basically, we just need to have that approved to have it ready to go for the new year.
So basically, the only changes were made, I will point you to the page. Sorry, I thought I had it highlighted here, but I guess I. Yes, I didn't highlight it, okay.
I remember reading that, there's no number what it is.
Independent review committee. I was just curious.
The planning and zoning commission, yes, they review these, they're SCOTUS and Quorum. And so what the one provision that they wanted, the two provisions that they wanted added, and they wanted to be pretty firm on this, and it's on the section 1 eligibility, second paragraph. The last two lines are applications that are missing information will not be considered. Any application from the previous year of funding who did not complete the work outlined in their award will be disqualified for the subsequent year cycle of funding. Those were two conditions that they wanted added. So that's about it. And if you all are good with those changes, I'll go ahead and advertise. We also did extend the deadline from, it's a little bit longer. It's a 90-day rather than 60-day to give everybody a little bit more time potentially. And so hopefully the second run through on this will be a little bit more efficient.
Was that like some feedback that we had received that they needed more time or?
No,
No.
it was more trying to be helpful.
Gotcha.
So we're thinking, well, maybe just give them more time, we'll do the trick, but. Yeah, so if you all are okay with these changes, then,
Let's need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the affordable building improvement program and its changes.
Second.
Rapp,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Cummings.
Yes.
Tyler.
The public hearing, as you heard Joe explain to them, has continued on the storage units. Planning June and again Thursday evening to continue that conversation. So did you want to fill them in a little bit on why that was extended, or just leave it at that and we'll hear back from that first meeting in
I
December?
think we can leave it at that, but I'd suggest you have a motion to continue the hearing to whatever your next meeting is going to be when you think you might want to talk about it.
what's it
So
say?
the 30th.
No, your meeting.
Oh, our meeting is what, for 14,
12.
12? It was close. You would.
So you need to make a motion to continue.
Yeah, someone makes a motion to continue the public hearing to December 12th at 2023 at 7 o'clock p.m.
So move.
Second.
Page,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Cummings.
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
5-0.
Right, seeing no old business, we'll move down, Joe has his report in front of you here. Joe, do you have any additions to add to that?
So
No?
I did have a question. Is there natural gas going at the sewer plant now?
No,
Really?
so, they're gonna have to add that, and that'll be something we have to discuss at the next meeting.
Okay,
So that, and then also improved electrical as well, it'll be part of the sewer.
are you talking about trying a larger service out there or what?
Yes,
Is that gonna be utilized in the same ditch that's going across the property we bought? Could that all be used in conjunction with that? Or is that expense again?
it's gonna be our expense, and I'll have that at the next meeting. But I'll let Nicholas, he'll be here to discuss it a little bit more,
Okay,
but I'll let him get into maybe how that would help the property to north of all, I don't know the answer to that.
what are the natural gas demand? 'Cause predominantly, your oxidation trenches all have ultraviolet, so what's the natural gas gonna be used?
I'll let him go into the plans, that's gonna be discussed at the next
Okay.
meetings.
You're talking about a meeting, council meeting?
Yep.
Okay,
Staff, the, Public Works will have a more extensive, report for us at the next meeting. So we will move on from that. And the reason why that is because they had illness, so they were able to get that, so. Anyway, Mark.
No, I'll be here Thursday night. And we'll bring that back to you.
Very good, thank you.
could I have a question for Mark?
Only if it's an easy one.
Got a question, all the talk about the solar farms and yay or nay, and especially with Prince Creek encroaching on the 1.5 mile limit. Can we levy a tax on any electricity that is exported outside our village authority?
No,
Why?
we don't have the authority. The state legislature doesn't give us the authority. We can't do it.
Okay, what if there was a factory that made widgets? And we wanted to tax that?
No,
You've got a utility tax on your power now.
because the statute gave us the authority to tax that. It's really specific when they give us the authority, it's really narrow and specific. They'll let us put a sales tax on retail sales. But we have to take that to the voters first to get the authority. So depending on what the tax is, we either have the authority to do it or not. Or if we have the authority, there may be a condition. So like the sales tax, we would take it to the voters first.
I wouldn't think it's so much, because the electricity isn't gonna stay in the county. They'll put it on the power line, it'll be traded for something in California or Chicago more likely. But in any kind of a way, if there's something to explore, if.
No, we just don't have the authority. You'd have to get the legislature to pass it for us. At best, what happens is you annex in a solar farm and then you can collect, the statute provides for an amount of tax that you get for the value of the solar farm based on how much it produces. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about something that's outside the village limits, so we can't tax it.
Well, it's not outside the village limits, it's within a mile and a half.
Yes, it is. You have the village limits and that's all the village is. And then the legislature gives you a little bit of extra control of the 1.5 miles if you have a plan for that 1.5 miles. And then along came the solar and wind farms and decided to take away some of that control. But anything outside the village limits is not in the village.
Has any of that ever been discussed with IML?
Yes, they talk about it every fall at the IML conference.
I know when it is.
It's usually in September and you really ought to go. You would have a blast and you would love to mix it up with folks like yourself from other towns.
Mhm.
And you usually come away with a lot of extra ideas.
Are you implying not be argumentative?
No, I'm just saying, I'm saying to have a lot of fun. I mean, I only go for the day and I just go for the lawyer part. And I don't do the mixing part because I just don't have the time for it, but it is fantastic. And anybody I've talked into going there has thanked me for going.
I'm sorry, he does go, I was being sarcastic.
Oh.
He just didn't find the right session.
I
is what
did,
he mentioned.
evidently the right session to go in and discuss that.
All right then. Well, if I remember, which I can't guarantee I will, but I will I always look at what the sessions are, and if I see something I think you ought to go to, I'll mention it to you.
Okay.
Or if you have questions about it, just call me up and we'll talk about it, and no, I don't charge you when you do that.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Yep.
So Tiffany, do you have anything?
I'll be sending minutes out if you need, I'll need your comments probably Thursday or Friday. Get them changed, by the weekend, I won't be making any changes, I'll be gone for the next 3 weeks. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, everybody.
All right, you too. Thank you. The only updates,
Happy Christmas.
I have is just a reminder, Saturday night is the Christmas tree lighting. Festivities start at 4:30. Lighting is at 5:30. So if you guys are available, come around and help. I know we'll have a table set up to let people decorate ornaments if they would like to. So I'm sure I could find a post for you to help out if you want to do that. Otherwise, just come and enjoy. We'll have lots of goodies there from various different things. Different groups are donating different things. We got high schools caroling for us, and so anyway, it should be a good time. We also then the following week, of course, is Holly Jolly at the Fire Department and the parade with the Women's Club that evening, and then the Santa 5K on the 16th. So looking forward to December being busy and fun. Other than that, I really don't have anything. We kind of already mentioned the tree discussion that Joe and I had with the, that is actually, the grant is through it's not the Forest Reserve, it's the Soil and Water Conservation. That may have a grant that we're working on to potentially get some trees for the park. And they'll be doing most of the work, putting it together and everything, so it'll be through them. So that will be exciting to get that done. But other than that, that's all I have for now. Do you guys, trustees, have anything to share?
I do. Joe asked me to bring this up tonight, so I'm taking off my trustee hat and putting on my women's club hat. For the parade on the 9th, we would like to see if we could have a hot chocolate stand where we would just give it away. You know, we would be selling hot chocolate, we would give away prior to the parade. And during the parade, but I'm sure nobody would come during the parade, just when everybody's gathered up and they possibly put it by the judges table. So it would likely end up being like on the parkway in front of IGA, you know, which is village property and the sidewalk, you know. So I had previously emailed Joe asking if that was okay. And he said to bring it up tonight and see if anybody had any thoughts about that. And also, I'm also just gonna preface it with that I'm not even sure we're gonna be able to do it because we're kind of short-handed that night. So what we would do is we would actually try to seek a service group to run it, and we would fund all of it because we had money earmarked to do the trunk or treat at IGA, which I did last year, and this year I wasn't able to do it and nobody else could do it. I'm like, hey, can we take that trunk or treat money and use it for like free hot chocolate for the community, you know, before the parade.
Marshmallows too?
Sure.
That's one.
Marshmallows too.
I got one thing, when you talk about the trees, and I've noticed like where Illinois Americans doing the water work, the tree between the sidewalk and the street. I mean, they obviously ripped out the roots on the sidewalk side, and those are gonna come down. It's something I think we should be looking at focus, not only there, but other places where we plant trees between the sidewalk and the street, especially when the stop signs start getting obscured by limbs and all that. So I mean, it's well and good that beautification, but it's something maybe we ought to develop a standard, like not plant a tree 200 feet from between the sidewalk and the street to a stop sign or any kind of an intersection. It's something to impede visibility.
Yeah, because most of our easement trees, we run it past Mike and them. So these trees that will be donated will probably be out of the park. So, but all the other trees usually go through Mike and them as far as locations, so that we have, so.
Who did you say that tree grant was from?
Soil and Water District. So. Just to make sure that you all button up what she asked.
I was
Are you
gonna start back to
okay?
that.
Are you, we do that, we don't, we need to finish things up, or topics up, so are we okay with her doing it? It's in addition to their original application?
I think it's lovely.
I mean, it may not even pan out if we can't find some people like to do it. We're shorthanded because we're all gonna be busy, you know, that night. So we would just supply, you know, fund it and supply it, and also preface with the fact that we gotta clean up, make sure nobody leaves cups laying around, you know, we're gonna have receptacles, you know, for garbage and stuff. But, so I just wanted to get your approval before we start working on it.
I think it's lovely. Thank you.
Thanks.
So everybody, is that a consensus with everybody?
Yes.
And then on trustee Rapp's part, you all set policy, so if you wanna have a policy discussion on where you place trees, then you just need to direct Mark and I to kind of, in Public Works to guide you through that, and you can set whatever policy that you want to, so.
Because we
But I
don't
just-
currently have a specific tree policy, do we, as far as where they're placed, I mean, is
And
it?
you have an ordinance that gives you authority to plant in the parkway. But what trustee Rapp is asking, if I'm not mistaken, is he's wanting to further restrict that to prevent blockage of traffic control devices and stuff like that, which we don't do that right now.
Just visibility, we won't impede it, if some kid or something, I know there's several of them during the summer. Limbs come down that obscure a stop sign, you know they're there, but they're obscured. So why are we putting the tree back in that place? And then I'm also concerned about that, where you've got a utility easement, the root structure and all that. I mean, you run into problems down the road there, but the visibility and traffic probably are concerned this time. It's something I think we ought to really take into consideration.
Sounds good, so Terry,
I just want to say, thank you to and I'm gonna hope I'm not badgering this IOTA Sigma chapter that make the cheese ball
right.
for the fundraisers. Just a great thing that they do for our community. And I also found out this year that Todd from the IGA actually put those all together for them and donated all the cheese. And I did thank him myself when I was there, but I wanted to have it be on the record that, thank you, Todd and the IGA for doing that for our community along with IOTA Sigma chapter. So thank you.
thank you. So
I have one other quick question, which doesn't, it's really just a curiosity thing, and it likely just predates my involvement in this, but the lights near the four-way that are the ornamental, is that, I assume that it was just out because of all the work that was being done there, but it seems like that's.
We just got the locates done this week.
Oh, okay.
And it's gonna rain Thursday and Friday.
Oh,
But it sounds like they're gonna try to get out there as soon as they can to. get it
I was
done.
just curious, like as a citizen.
yeah, well, I was curious because I wanted the Christmas lights all lit up. so
Yeah.
Anyway, so, yeah, so they're
Maybe
working
by
on,
Christmas.
yeah, well, they were hoping to get it done this week, so hopefully the weather will cooperate with them to get it done, so.
I do like the Christmas lights. I think they look good.
Thank you.
Yes, the snowflakes are very pretty.
They are.
Well, thank you. I tried to redeem myself from last year of not having them, and it was like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. So my two old grown adult sons were the worst ones, but anyway, so yes, those look very nice, and we actually have more goodies going up on the decorative poles tomorrow. The guys will be fixing the lights that we had with some garland, and your mayor made 24 swags with bows that will be hung, so hopefully those will look nice too. My fingers are hoping they really do, because wiring all those was painful. By the end of the 24th one, I was ready to just woohoo. So anyway, so that will hopefully add to our downtown too. It'll look really nice, so I'm excited to see it all done. So anyway, and if you've noticed on Ashley, I know they've put it out on the Facebook and stuff, but the other cool thing that will be going on Saturday is there's a branch scavenger time with about 12 different businesses that'll be, part of that. If you want to be a part of that, you meet at 2 o'clock down by the Christmas tree. Pick up your card and the directions on what businesses are involved with that. And then we have a couple of gift baskets that we'll have drawings for at the Christmas tree lighting. So anyway, so it'll be all fun. So either way, that's all. If everybody has shared all that they have, then I guess we're ready for the adjournment.
Motion.
Second.